Hey everyone, and welcome to my first ever video of my Zero Progression series. Technically it's the third video, but we're gonna skip it, it's episode number 1. Before we start, I think it's overdue for me to lay down the ground rules, what I can, what I can't do, what my goals are, and so on and so forth. Now I already have a lot of bossing mules. If you follow this channel, then you know I have more than enough. There's nothing that I need to make in order to get my Legion champion set up. I don't need this character, but I still find it quite interesting and I wanted to take on a personal project. So as for the short-term goals, I want to hit level 260, max my arcade force, and I want to solo all the C10 bosses. Yes, that for me is short-term goals. I think the requirement for that is very, very low nowadays, especially for a min clear. So the earlier part is getting a min clear C10 solo and start my liberation as soon as possible. I'm recording this audio on March 25th, and as of right now, my zero is only level 236. I am planning on pushing my zero a little bit harder so I can start getting a BM carry run already in March. It's super important to get all you could do when it comes to liberation as fast as possible, especially when it's a character that you already know you're going to progress pretty far. So back to my main goals. Earlier on, I want to solo C10, I want to get a full set of arcanes, the very basic Dawn set with Slime Ring, Twilight Mark, Daybreak, and a full set of Superior. I also want to at least full 17 my gear, obviously, but that is only because of arcanes, which are going to be hard to push forward above 17. The rest are probably going to go to 21 or 22. And as you can see later down this video, I already pushed some items as far as I can get them with the amount of dupes I had, which is barely any. This character is still brand new and I have not had enough time to play this game to make a lot of gains during that time. In the middle part of my goals, aka after I start soloing C10 comfortably, I want to get my zero to level 270, maybe 275, we'll see how much time I have, and solo Black Mage, and potentially start doing Hard Saren, normal Kalos, and easy Caling if I hit 275. Just to start getting those chances of the grindstones, very low chances since it's a party, but also start working on my Eternals very slowly and get the most chances I can to get an Ring. Now, if I do luck out and get an Ring earlier, by Cont 4, then I'm done. Right, Zero is a very DPM-y character, which means I only need one Ring. I don't care about Roar, Weapon Jump, any of those at all, as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, because I realized we're not getting too many nodes or basically any rewards in addition to the Hyperburn, I decided to keep going and just max my nodes. I tossed like an extra 1,000 nodes. We're getting some experience nodes from the event later on, so I didn't fully max everything, but I maxed all my skills as well, the important ones. So yeah, that's early game, that's medium goals. Not early game, but earlier goals, medium goals. To me, this series ends probably when I solo normal Kalos. As I said, it's gotta be a long series, and usually I progress quite quickly because I have the resources to do so, and later on you will see that even though I spent 300 bill during last 5 to 15, I already had 120 bill for this 30% off, and that's just 2 weeks of bossing and a little bit of grinding, so I have the resources to get it done. But just about the dupes and how lucky I get. Currently my account has been severely lacking when it comes to starable pitches on my mules, even though I have 9 to 10 characters running C10 every week with max to near max drop rate. I still only have 2 starable pitches at 22 across my mules. out of about 40 attempts. Hopefully this zero breaks the curse. As I get to level 260, I'm going to start working on familiars. I'm going to get my 3 badges and get at least 1 or 2 familiars to unique to be re-rolled with the blue cards as we get them, and 1 or 2 more to just try and get something good, whether it be attack percent or boss damage. I'm not going to take crit damage, I'm not going to take high amounts of ID, only 5 or 6% attack and 20% or above boss damage. I'll stop working on familiars when I have 3 of those. I already have some in my storage left over from when I was getting my familiars from my Demon Slayer. So yeah, after this bit of upgrading, I also did a couple of bosses just to see the changes between the nodes and just the gains from the 5, 10, 15 and how they affected my bossing. Let's just say the normal Damien and normal Lotus went from, I think it was 20 minutes to probably closer to 2 to 3 minutes, if I remember correctly. I also started doing the Arcane Weeklies. Now, I don't plan on doing them every week, but for now it's going to be a good boost to my starting Arcane Force, so I'm able to blue dot in the C10 bosses as soon as possible once I get the levels in. The weeklies are also changing soon. Right now they give 15 symbols per run, with a maximum of 45 per week, because we only have 3 runs. But later on they're going to be changed to 40 symbols per run, and 120 total from just the weekly, which is worth 6 days of dailies. So later on it would be considerably worth it to do it, especially if you're working on multiple characters, or if you're trying to get the best amount of symbols per time. Yeah, I'm gonna let you enjoy this footage for a while, and I'll come back with some commentary when it's relevant. So enjoy watching me do some weeklies, dailies, bossing, and I'll be back. One more thing I wanted to add while you're watching me run my bosses is that this hyperban is happening during the Demon Slayer collab, which means that I am not paying my full attention to my zero, and the reason being that Tanjiro doesn't have too long with the XP buff, the XP passive, the 12x, which is in actuality plus 1200% XP, I think. So my zero will not level up as quick as I want to, and I'm also still working on a background goal of 10k Legion as soon as possible. So I might use any and all XP tickets and growth potions, etc. on other mules, level 225, level 230 mules to get them to 250. I have 2 in the works right now that are somewhat relevant for my Legion, one just being a strength character and one being a wild hunter for the extra damage percent. If I do need the resources to get my 0 to level 255 to do Black Mage in March, or if I'm not going to make it in time to 260 on my Tanjiro, which is relevant because I want to make it into a Paladin to get some more Legion levels once the event expires, then I will throw some on these characters instead. But right now I've been splitting my time 30 minutes with VIP boosters and 3x and all the rest of it on my Tanjiro, and then the dailies, whether it be Monster Park or Arcane Forest or weekly day or like the weekly arcanes, all of that XP I've given to my zero. The basic reasoning is that Tanjiro gets XP multipliers from killing mobs, right? So using the boosters on it just means that all the mobs from the boosters also get multiplied. I also used all the tomato or the strawberry farm on it as well, because the basic XP multiplier works on that as well. Whereas for zero, I try to emphasize on the fact that it just gets 2 levels extra every level. So the best XP course is the dailies and Monster Park. That's why I'm making this split, as I mentioned. So yeah, I think it's actually good for the sake of this progression series, because I don't want to level up too quickly and finish too many things all at once. I'm also trying a less edited format of the videos. A bunch of friends told me, and I know for personal preference as well, that longer videos are generally nicer for us Maple players. It's nice content to have during mapping. We don't need too much, just visual stimulation. Every now and then, just a nice voice, and that's it. The sweet revenge of killing Akechi with absolutely no difficulty at all. The first couple of times I attempted this, he kept binding me over and over and over again. As you can see, I even wrote revenge there. I was actually happy that it's this quick right now. I also decided to take on slime for the first time. I knew it might be a long fight, but I wanted to see how it feels. Right? Because slime does prioritize, or does favor, bursty characters, and Zero is anything but. But still, I wanted to see how I can do, how I can fare. Especially considering that Damien and Lotus were as quick as they were, I thought it might be a good pseudo challenge, or just to see exactly how it feels. For slime test, there's a key way that I like to do it, and that's I like to steer the slimes in the direction of the door that I blocked, and not block the other doors. Right, what I mean by that is, when the slimes actually fall down, I don't want to stop them from getting to the other doors that I didn't block. I want to actually steer it towards the one door that I did block. So in this example, it's the blue door. And the slimes work in a very specific behavior. Once they fall onto a platform, they choose the longer part of that platform to go to. So you can see me at the start of the test, just completely ignore some platforms because I know where the slime is going to go. So I don't actually need to block it there. Yeah, a final thing when it comes to how to know which color the slimes are. The first slime of the first test is always going to be green, which means you need to steer the slimes towards the door that you blocked. And if you get a message saying only 2 doors have been blocked, or just a message along those lines, like on the middle of your screen as the test finishes, the next test is going to have gold slimes, which means you don't have to block any door, because you're going to just succeed regardless. Yeah, as you can see, I remembered to use Tanjiro only for the second test, but it didn't actually matter too much. And after the third test, I saw that slime was low enough that I could probably DPS it down, but because I'm a 2-minute class, I just decided to start my burst up immediately as it's off cooldown and just let it rip. I just make sure he's dead before the next test because I didn't want to waste too much time. And then we get to the juicy part of the video, which is a 30% off event. In this event I tried to 22 as many items as I could, which definitely wasn't a lot because I just don't have enough items, but the weapon is one that I really wanted to do because the sooner you do it, the earlier you can just toss everything on it. Specifically the CRA Lucky Scroll, so it's part of the CRA set, and then the Absolab Essence and Arcane Essence later on, which increases the attack power by a long mile. So it's just a lot of extra attack that I can get between the two weapons, Alpha and Lazuli, like Alpha and Beta. And as you might be able to see here, I start with a decent amount of money already, like 125 bill. So I knew the money isn't going to be the issue mostly, it's probably going to be the dupes. So for the weapon, it's not a concern, but then I wanted to try for CRAs. I also had enough Meister dupes, because I can craft basically as many as I want to, but I had 4 ready. And then I planned on maybe doing the Pink Bean belt and the Dominator if they hit, but the amount of dupes was very scarce, as you're gonna see later, and just generally because this character is so brand new. And yeah, the weapon finally hit. It took 12 bill, which for 30% off without safeguarding is just a little bit more expensive than average. I think the average is around 7 to 8 bill, because the item counts as a level 150. I might be wrong with those numbers, I'm just guesstimating based on knowing CRA, but either way it hit 22, so I'm happy. It boomed a lot along the way, so I'm happy it's a 0 weapon too, because I really don't care about the dupes here. I also decided to safeguard my Meister, because despite having basically 8 for the dupes, I also know that the Starforce change is coming. I'm not going to go too much in depth right now, but I might need the materials to go beyond 22 on one of these rings. And also any other future character that I don't want to do Princess Snow on, I'll need to get to the point where it's Meister and accessory crafting and just do Meister rings. So I might actually need a lot of dupes across my characters. So I'm trying to be as cheap as possible, and usually I prioritize Meso. But this time I prioritized the amount of dupes I have for the Meister ring. But as you'll be able to see, it works out fine. It actually hit really, really quickly, and I'm super happy for it. At least the first one. Tum tum tum. The CRA top was also pretty stubborn, but luckily I did end up hitting 21. I didn't have too many dupes, so I considered keeping it, but it's just not that type of mentality I have. I want to know if I'm done with the item before I move on to the next one. It's not the most efficient, but it's how I like to play. Especially nowadays when I have so many mules, I just want to know what item is done, to know what items I have left to work on. And 21 is a big coin toss. Because if it insta-booms, it's as if you started from 0, and if it hits immediately, then it's as if it was finished, and I want to know where I'm standing. Yeah, the pants boomed a decent amount. As you can see, I don't have too many dupes, but luckily they also went to 22. And yeah, as you can see, the hat started off giving a really bad vibe. And it boomed it pretty quickly 3 times in a row, but then it actually went reasonably fast. So we take those. As you can see, I'm also trying to push my Dominator. I was lucky enough to, even with low drop rate, get 2 since I started, which is pretty lucky since I haven't been playing almost at all. But sadly, it didn't go. I could have settled for 18, 19 star, 21 star. For the Dominator specifically, maybe I would have settled 21 early, but it never actually got to see that, so I never actually got to make the choice. It boomed, and then I had to settle for 17. I also started trying my superior set preparations, because I didn't play the character long enough. Yet I don't have enough Gollux coins, and I didn't get any drops yet. From Gollux, I started off with the Dommies, and then obviously those didn't hit. I wanted to potentially get 1 for damage and 1 to transfer. Then I moved on to the pink beanboats. I had about 4 dupes, but they all boomed, sadly, so I had to keep a 17-1 for damage for now. And lastly, it's the Meister Ring, which is what I mentioned before about not being the only Meister Ring I'm tapping today. I'm going for 21. Yeah, I'll just transfer from 21 to 20, and if the superior ring or anything I transfer to a superior set booms going from 20 to 21, then so be it. And yes, earlier on I will only go for 21 unless I have another dupe to transfer again. So I will need to build up my superior Gollux coins before I'm doing that. Lastly is the reinforced earrings. I only had 1 of these items, so I didn't actually know what to expect, but I was going again for 21 for the transfer later on. As you'll be able to see, it took a lot of money with it, but whether it hit or didn't, I'm gonna let you see for yourself. Yeah, thank God it finally hit. It's not so much the meso that I'm worried about, more the time that it took to just tap. I'm an old man, my fingers hurt. This took way too long to actually go. And I'm not looking forward to potentially inflaming with all the clicking required. Yeah, and lastly I upgraded my Zero weapon to an Absolab weapon. As you might have seen earlier during the start forcing, after I finished my weapon I tried putting another CRA full on it, but it failed. So I'm 1 for 4. It's really not a rare item, but still pretty annoying. And I did a little bit of cubing for my CRAs and Meister. Now that they're done, I got them to legendary 2-line. Very bad 2-lines, I might add, for some of them, because I just, as I said, I'm too old and didn't want to deal with the clicking for now. Maybe later I'll do something else, maybe I'll improve it a little bit. One more thing I did that I couldn't get on recording, or that I forgot to record because I'm a bad YouTuber, is I did toss 200 black flames on the Zero weapon. Because the flame still stays, now that we know, all the way up to Destiny weapon, which I don't know if I'm going to go for, but it's there as an option, then it's okay to go for a crazy flame on it early on. Sadly, nothing major hit. I did see a Giga magic attack flame, but we'll go into flames once I actually hit, and I'll explain more how it actually works. That said, thank you guys so much for watching. This is the end of episode 1, and I hope you enjoyed. I will take any criticism, anything you would like to say, teach me about Zero. I am way too new to this class, and I'm open to ideas. Thanks. See you in the next one.